5 on my own. A girl walks in and calls her name in my heart. I turn and run away. Every day, felt me led astray. It's hard to be lucky in love. It's in your eyes, it's making you cry. Don't know what to do, don't know what to do. Looking for love, heaven above. Send me an angel, send me an angel. Right now, right now. Send me an angel. So Julie. Last time you heard that song?
Probably the last time I saw you.
Oh my gosh. Julie, welcome to the show. I'm so pumped to have you.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Oh my gosh. Guys, welcome to the Greatness Machine. I'm your host, Darius Mirshahzadeh. And boy, do we have a special show for you today. We have my friend Julie Scates here. I'm so pumped. Welcome.
Thank you.
Do you mind if I do a little bit of housekeeping and then we'll get started?
God, no. Go for it.
All right, guys. We are the Greatness Machine, as you know, and we are about two things: people who are living their passions and those change makers who are creating greatness in the world. My friend Julie is neither short of passion nor greatness, so we have a bunch of fun stuff to talk about today. Those of you guys that don't know Julie and my relationship, she and I became friends at Birthing a Giants 2006. And we just realized before the show started, we hadn't talked since 2008. So this is a 12-year reunion.
Yep.
You're seeing it in the flesh.
Yep.
In all
never
glory.
12 years again.
No way. It's gonna be like 12 minutes. So with that said, I am gonna do some housekeeping. Guys, we are live. So start a watch party. Share this with your network. We got Lady Boss here who's crushed it as an entrepreneur, amongst other amazing things. We'll be talking all about all the fun things that Julie's been up to. And yeah, if you like what's happening, throw some likes up, ask us questions. I got my team on standby. Jade's on standby. She'll be sending questions over our way, so don't be shy. With that said, I want to get a little bit of a background on Julie. So like I mentioned, she and I, we met at Birthing a Giants in 2006, and we both graduates of that program at MIT. She's a serial entrepreneur, CEO at J2T, which she founded with her father and sister in 2000. And 20 years later, J2T is still a family business, and she has the title of Top Woman-Owned Business by the Denver Business Journal. Recently, you were also an accomplished Grand Slam fly fisher in Belize. Boom! I probably missed a bunch of amazing things. I know you are such a stud, but how the hell are you?
I'm awesome. I'm so great. I know that's a weird thing to say, given what's going on in our world, and certainly with people struggling and not being awesome. But I'm fabulous. How are you?
I'm pretty fabulous myself. I mean, I'm always more fabulous when I'm doing the show.
I know, right?
And so this is literally outside of hanging out with my kids, and I watched a TV show called Just Add Magic with my 10-year-old, which for those of you that don't know what this is, it's like a tween drama about these little magicians that cook magic together. So that's my favorite thing to do. But besides that, watching Just Add Magic, it's doing the show without question. So, and the really cool part about it is I get to do things like this, which is not talk to people for 12 years and then say, hey, let's meet on my show and catch up. So
I love that you asked. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, it was my pleasure. I was talking to you about you, by the way, with John Ratliff the other day. So John told me he was pumped that you were thinking about joining us at GOT.
Yeah, I am. I just completed my app.
I'm so excited. So enough about moi. Let's talk about you. We haven't seen each other since George Bush was still in office. And it was a couple election cycles ago. How have you been since 2008? Catch me up.
So life has been really interesting and mostly fabulous. Ups and downs like everybody has, but our business is founded out of Denver, and Denver and Boulder really are where we exclusively focus our time and, where our footprint is almost exclusively. As a just kind of a backup, my father and my sister and I founded the firm together because we wanted to design our lives and we wanted to put family first. And we wanted to get out of commuting and, not punch a clock and everything else that comes with choosing to be an entrepreneur. Fast forward 5 years after I launched, my father passed away, and then my sister and I have kind of co-led the business together. She's on the ops side, and I'm more on the BD and front of the house side, and that has been just literally a magical recipe for us, for our family, for our team. And we made a very specific decision 20 years ago to be 100% virtual. So we have never had brick and mortar, which has always served us exceedingly well, but now certainly more so than ever. We went through kind of, as you know, I tend to be a late bloomer in life, or maybe just it takes me a really long time to learn some lessons. But we really didn't go through any sort of real true growth phase until we had really settled into the business a solid decade. For a couple of reasons. One, I'm a lifestyle girl, as you know. Yeah. I will always put fishing and hiking and camping and family time above sitting down at my desk. Yeah. So those are just very intentional choices.
Sure.
And so then after I saw you, I moved to Jackson Hole for 2 years and then moved to Bozeman, which has been my home over a decade. And I'm really fortunate that I'm able to work remotely from Bozeman. I get into Denver about every 6 weeks and spend a week with my team or my clients or wherever I'm needed. But quite honestly, they don't even want me there that often, truthfully.
That's great.
Yeah. And I think it's been a great sign and indication of the health of our firm that the less time I am there, the more it actually thrives. And it was a delayed connecting of the dots for me that really just working on cash, strategy, people, and nothing else, right? It took me a long time to get to the point where I was comfortable with 3 bullet points on my job description. And that's it. That's what my job description looks like. Fast forward to 2020, and as we prepare for kind of another growth cycle, our firm is exclusive in accounting and finance recruitment, both direct hire as well as temporary staffing. So in a downturn, contract is the first to go, and then it's first to recover. So we expect kind of a major resurgence of our that side of the business to really grow somewhat rapidly once we get through whatever it is that we need to get through as a country, as a world. But we purposely and intentionally promoted 3 key people in our organization in 2018, and then spent 2019 with a lot of transition time from myself onto those job descriptions and really kind of starting to pass the baton and for me to, let up on some control, and intentionally took a sabbatical. This January, February, March, I stepped out of the business for 3 months on the recommendation of my executive coach. Like, you go away for 90 days, that will allow some good cementing and some good transition, and they're not blowing up your phone and your email, and that kind of takes seed. And so I was in Asia when this kicked off. So
when did you get because I was in Asia right before, I went to Asia just for 3 weeks, which is not 3 months, but December 17th, I came back January 10th. So did we
we just missed each other. I took off January 3rd, I think, stayed through year end and stayed through our kickoff meeting, and then literally headed out. And I was fortunate. I did not get in my full 3 months, but I got in 10 weeks, which is still
that's awesome.
Pretty amazing considering what's going on in our world. And I was in Bali, Thailand, Myanmar, and Vietnam, and then I was literally headed into Cambodia when it literally became kind of a making choices about what's the right decision as a business owner, right? And when to re-engage, when to re-lead, because we were intentional about me releasing a lot of control, but then our world hit a point where it was time to fully re-engage at kind of maximum level. So
so you came back right when, I'm gonna curse because I love cursing, right when the shit was super fucked up. Oh, you literally were you came back at ground zero.
I did. I'm so eternally thankful that my travels home could not have been, I definitely had an angel on my shoulder getting me home, because it was incredibly swift. seamless, easy, no fear, some tears on my part because it happened so fast that I'm like, did I make the right decision or am I just being reactionary to maybe something I shouldn't be this reactive to? I got home on Friday and shit hit the fan on Monday. Like,
Yeah,
I think I got home on the 15th of March, and then it just went haywire.
Yeah, it was banana. Like your timing. It would have been, that would not have been fun.
No.
I have so many stories to talk about the time period because we had the tragedy in our family then, and my brother-in-law basically passed away in Australia during on the 3rd of April, and he was there from February 26th, and so we were dealing with trying to get family to him in Tasmania, and Australia was really swift to shut down. So, but I missed it. I got to go to Asia without dealing with it. I mean, it was just kind of starting in China then, right? This is when then December was when you were first hearing about it. In January, you were barely hearing about it. And then right when we got back was when you started hearing a lot more about it towards the end of January. But I love that part of the world you were in. I went to Vietnam and I was in Thailand for 10 days and we went to Vietnam for 4 days. And then we were in Japan for a week too. That part of the world is one of my favorite parts of the world. I
must put on the list. And it was not on my radar until a friend that I met when I was traveling guided me pretty firmly. If you don't go, you're in the boat. Get to me in the boat.
I want to go. My best friend. So my best friend is who I did semester at sea in college, and I don't know. You went to Boulder, right?
Are you kidding me?
Oh, sorry.
I'm hanging up, man.
Where'd you go?
Florida State and Fort Collins.
Oh, my bad. I meant Colorado State. My bad. Aren't you guys Buffaloes or something like that?
I'm definitely logging out. My Rams need
Rams. That's what I meant. They're an animal with large horns.
Some work to do on our football program. We have a new coach. We have an awesome stadium. We have the greatest stadium in the world. We have some work to do.
I apologize for offending your Colorado sensibilities right now. So I will say this though. I do know about both. You're in Bozeman now, which one of my best friends lives in Bozeman. So Dan Newell, I'm going to introduce you to Julie Scates. Him and his wife Lexi are amazing. You'll love them.
Is on this call. It's a small town. I might know Daniel and Lexi.
You might. He's hard not to love. His wife is way cooler than he is, and he knows it. So yeah,
but I probably for sure know her.
Yeah. I spent some time there with them. And so look, I want to rewind back to the biz. So I think that what you said is really important because I think right now a lot of people. First of all, it sounds like you're using scaling up. You guys are scaling up business.
Yeah, and we work with Petra, and we use Align religiously.
Yeah.
Align is the flow of all of our communication for our daily huddles, our 2-weekers. I mean, Andy Bailey literally gave me a much needed kick in the ass, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. And we really, really overhauled our business with some great leadership and direction from Andy and team. We needed it, quite honestly. I needed it. And so that has been huge for us. And we practice scaling up, not to the degree that you did, but also we're a more difficult business to scale, especially with our virtualness.
Yeah, I'm kind of an integral. So I use scaling up and a couple other systems. Andy would smack me on the wrist because I'm not. I would be a pain in the ass client. But Andy's a stud. I was talking to one of his. He's such a stud. And hey, Jade, you should add Andy to the comments so he can hop over here and say hi to us.
Yeah.
He was on the show, and I love Andy Bailey. He's another one. Before the show, I'm like, Julie, you look amazing. I haven't seen you in 12 years. You look like you haven't aged a day. And Andy Bailey's the same. I saw him. I'm like, dude,
good. Andy's got it.
What the hell have you been doing, bro? You would look younger now than when you were 40. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. He literally looks younger than he did 10 years ago. So I attribute it to people living their passions and doing awesome things and taking care of themselves. So where I was going with that was, you do look fabulous, and I think a lot of that has to do with a lot of things you're talking about right now, which is having a lifestyle business, putting your life first and having your business be something that supercharges that. Kind of talk about that, because I think a lot of people that want to start a business, what I find is this, especially young entrepreneurs, they just don't want to work for somebody else and they just want to go get after it. Now, there's two schools of thought there. There's the Julie school of thought, which is I want to build a lifestyle business, have freedom, build something that works for me, and have this epic life and do cool stuff. And then there's the Darius, who I've never been able to do that. I've always been like grind, build something huge, and yeah, building something that's super scalable and huge and is great. But like my businesses were the opposite of lifestyle businesses. Like, and I actually right now I'm in between because I exited that bit, my last business, but what do you think has allowed you to have that mindset? Can you talk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm happy to. And I want to be really clear about this. Like, and actually it was really good for me, I think, to, EO was incredibly good to me, important. It was a huge chapter in my life. BOG was a huge chapter in my life. But I also, I think just some self-awareness for me personally. And again, I'm a huge champion of EO and BOG. But I had to get really, really comfortable with exactly who we were and what we wanted to accomplish, which is not, it's not an approach intentionally to completely blow up our business, scale. We had gone through a chapter in our first 10 years where we did scale into Miami, Fort Lauderdale. I moved down there into DFW, into Portland. And then after 2008, 9, and 10, which just, I look back, I'm sometimes even amazed we got through that, but we did. And when we got through it, we really had to dig deep on who are we? Who are we? Who do we want to be? And what do we want to do? And that really meant getting clear personally, right? Because again, my sister and I are coworkers, and we have a ton of legacy players who've been with us for 14 years, 16 years, 18 years. I've got one coming up on getting ready to celebrate her 20th year with JT.
Wow.
I know, kind of amazing shit. And we would not be here without them. Like, let me be really, really clear on that. Like, as much as I adore working with my family, and I really do, because for me, it has been blood is thicker than water. My sister and I are only a year apart. She had 4 kids in 5 years. That was a big piece of the intention behind this. And
wow.
I don't work without her, right? I am the yin to her yang and vice versa. And it works together, but I don't think it would work apart. For us, doesn't mean that won't, it will continue to shine and shine brightly under the leadership of others down the road. I always joke, like, if I'm here in 10, 20 years, like, then I've really screwed up, because it's really not my intention to be in the business in 10 years. I want to fish. I want to camp. I want to be with my family and my friends. So that really was, and my sister wanted a big family. So I wanted to travel my ass off, and I wanted to see the world and be outside as much as I possibly could. And my sister wanted to raise a big family. And so we got really focused on the lives we wanted to live. And we designed a business around that, again, with total intention. And then I had to get really comfortable not keeping pace and keeping up with all my EO buddies. So you got to keep in mind, when you and I went to BOG, there were 3 girls in that class. 3. Noelle, Lisa, and me, right?
Oh, that's right.
And the rest were, many of whom have become like literally family to me. Ratliff, Andy gave me exactly what I needed when I needed it in terms of direction in my business. But I didn't do purposely what a lot of you guys set out to do, which was swing for the bleachers. But it has still served us, I think, exceedingly well. So depending on what you want in your life, right? Like, I'm a big believer that my team, we adult, right? Like, you do you and get shit done. And if you can't do that, then we're not the place for you.
GSD, baby. GSD. Get shit done.
Get shit done, man. And if you can't get shit done in our firm with a tremendous amount of respect, trust, autonomy, and amazing people around you, then I got to release you to do it somewhere else. But the people that really thrive in our environment, they fucking thrive, and then they stay. And so I've really loved that our team really has become, in many ways, family. And you got to be a little careful on that.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! Like Yeah, I'll say I got two things to say about it. First of all, I don't know if you know this. My business partner was up until this recent exit was my twin brother.
Oh, I read that. I love that.
Right.
Yeah,
So I didn't realize that.
that really resonated with me in your book. I was like, shit, how do I not know that?
Yeah. So yeah, it's like we probably mentioned it 12 years ago, and why would you remember it? But still, right? Like siblings is like working with siblings is interesting, right? Because sounds like your situation with your sister is she's the integrator, you're the visionary. I mean, is that
100%.
so? My brother's like a sales animal, and I'm a visionary. There was no integrator, so we ended up getting a third partner who was like literally like one of the best integrators of all time. But before we had that, we fucking battled. Like, no joke. Like when we first started working together, and we're brothers, so like, and I know sisters do this too, but we straight up threw down like blows, like through.
Jill and I can throw down. Oh, Jill and I can totally throw down, and then love each other. I am the best version of myself when I'm with Jill.
Yeah.
I always say, like, I'll know the person I'm supposed to be like marry and be with because it'll be someone that embodies my sister and a man that brings out the best in me in the way that she does.
Yeah.
She 100% brings out the best in me and vice versa. But we can for sure go head to head and always resolve. We always figure out resolution.
Mm-hmm.
But we operate differently in life. We see things very, very differently. And that's why it can be incredibly beneficial because she operates in a way that I just don't. So the company has to have that balance. And I operate in a way that she doesn't.
I do believe whether you get there through partners or through really key executives, you need, and I'm a big believer in Strength Finder, you need to find people whose strengths complement yours, right? I don't know if you use that tool or not, but I'm all in on that tool. And so what I would say is that it sounds like you found that balance, and then you decided, and you said something before we got into the sibling stuff, which was people need to kind of pick what's right for them, right, in their business. And I think that that's really great advice. I was talking to some entrepreneurs the other day, and especially in the coaching world, there's some orthodoxy around like things you do, and some of it, I would say 70-80% of it's like, yeah, sure, like there is no negotiation on certain parts of execution and strategy. But there's nuance to every business. There's nuance to every industry. And there's things that are best practice that don't necessarily work in every industry and every business because of how those businesses are ran and set up. So I said that to these guys. I said, look, you got to figure out what works for you. But there's some of this stuff, if you do it there's definitely a wrong way of doing it, and you shouldn't break those rules. But on a lot of this stuff there's flexibility. So it sounds like you've gotten really good at doing that. I want to move to go back to the Asia trip though, because I think that's like when I talk about your business and the fact that you have this business that is, I don't want to call it a lifestyle business because I don't think it has lifestyle elements.
It's very, very accurate. Now here's the thing. It is it's nice to have the best of both worlds where it fiscally supports the life I want to live. But I do believe you can integrate the two.
Yeah, because you could still, especially if you start to build a team. How many people are in your management or executive team?
We have an executive team of 4 total.
Excluding or including you?
Including me. We had 5, and actually the woman that I referenced, Stephanie Siebold, who is getting ready to go into her 20th year, she very understandably said this year, like, you know what, I'm ready to step off exec. Like, I'm ready to focus just on me and my family and my job. And she actually asked to step off of exec, which I fully respect because it's a thankless job and very thankless and very time consuming. And she was exceptional at it, and she was ready for a break. So we went from 5 to 4, and we'll reevaluate whether or not what to do with that. But our head of our direct hire practice is on the executive team. The head of our temporary staffing division is on the executive team. Jill, who oversees operations, and then myself.
So you being the visionary, and I can understand the visionary is an interesting role because you're the idea person and you're the like futuristic, like where are we going to take this person? And when you're growing, there's a lot of work for the visionary to do, right? And when you're not growing, it can be kind of boring because you're like, like, what do I do? I'm like, I don't want to do what I need to do. I don't want to take the risk, the time, the energy, whatever it is to go to that next vision in the business. And so I do think that there's a moment, which it sounds like you may have had, where you turn inward and you're like, I'm going to do the vision for myself now.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people have this dream of having this business that they set it and forget it, and they go have fun at it and work on it when they want, and they're intentional about it, but they go and travel and have fun and live this fabulous life. And maybe on paper, if I was to look at you and follow you on Facebook and see your 10, what's that?
Those are just the goodies. Those are just the good parts of my life. You don't get to see the tears.
No, I know. I'm playing. There was a guest on the show, Tucker Max. I don't know if you know him, but he's this famous author who runs this really cool company called Scribe Media now, and he's really good friends with these like Gary V, Vaynerchuk's, and all. He knows all these guys, right? And he's like, yeah, they all look like they're having a great time on social media, and their lives are all fucked up. So, so yeah, like no one's like, hey, here's me crying in my room for a week because something bad happened to me, and here's when I was having an anxiety attack.
Tears. I've shed a lot of tears in this life. I've certainly laughed a lot more and loved a lot harder than I've cried. But you can't get through life without crying. And if you're not crying, then you need to do some work.
yeah, you need to go on like some plant journey medicine or get a therapist. I agree with that. And there was I was watching this really cool Joe Rogan video, and he was like, look, you show me a person that's laying on the beach being fed grapes and like drinking sangria and just chilling, and I'll show you someone a week later that's bored out of their fucking mind. Mm-hmm. Right. Yep. He's like, it's all around striving and fighting for that next thing. We're programmed. Our DNA is programmed from a survivalistic standpoint to want to strive. So when I say that, my question for you is, you got this cool situation. Obviously the business is going into this next growth cycle, whatever happens out of COVID. You've built this 20-year business. You've got a great team. You've got a deep bench. You guys are like an entity. You're known. You're doing well. You've actually been able to step away from the business, which is really hard. Like that is way harder than most people realize. I know I have a lot of friends that have done it, and they're all have the same vibe you have, which is this like, but they're also like, wow, it took me a long time to do that.
It did. And I had to be, handheld would be a very polite way of saying, I was, my executive coach was adamant, and thank God for him, right? I mean, that's, but can I touch on a couple things on that point? So a couple things that really supported and allowed that journey and that process. About 5 or 6 years ago, we got very, very intentional about hiring a bunch of millennials, which was one of the hardest things I've done.
Is that a positive or a negative?
It's now an incredible positive, but for the first, you know me, right? Like I'm like, let's go, bring it, right? Like, and they, you hire enough of them, and then you're outnumbered. Like our leadership team, our senior people.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, we were outnumbered, and we were intentional about doing it because as we got older, right? Like my, Steph and myself and Charlene and Joe, we were all like approaching 50 and then moving beyond it. And we were like, and we represent the average age that we represent in the marketplace is 28. That's the average age that we represent on our direct hire practice. So my controllers used to be 35 to 40. Now my controllers are 28, 29, 30.
Wow.
Here's the thing. If you're 28, you probably don't want to necessarily be represented by somebody who's 50, right? There's a like speaks to like on that millennial culture. And we were recognizing that, our CFOs and our VPs of finance and everything else, there was a, kind of a path that we continued on with them. But as we were bringing in new clients and new candidates under 30, we literally had to take it from an approach of, if you can't beat them, join them. And so we hired a ton of millennials, and the catalyst for us was hiring a woman who came from one of our competitors with no non-compete, which is fascinating to me. And she brought in 4 of her team. Mm-hmm. And that I didn't get so much as a letter or a phone call. I mean, I kept waiting for And they have been magical for our firm, and have pushed me incredibly hard and have pushed our executive team. They are so hardworking, very, very determined. They certainly need and want a little more accolade and celebration than I grew up with, right? So that has been a big shift and adjustment for our firm. But because their vision and their drive and spirit is so high, I mean, truly so high. It's like you talk about from that 30,000 elevation. They were kind of creating the 30,000 view. And I was like, oh my God, in order for me to keep pace, continue to find joy in my job, be able to lead successfully, I'm going to need to get out of the way and let them do their thing, because they do it so well. And once we kind of, released to the idea that they've got something figured out that maybe my generation didn't figure out, and their drive and their chutzpah and their determination, that was really a magical time for our firm. And that's where we entered a new growth phase, and really under their leadership, and us kind of releasing to that.
So can I ask a question? So the first of all, did you say you're 50? Are you joking?
I'm 49.
Oh, what?
I'll be 49 in January.
Oh my God. My mind is getting messed up now, because I have this friend last night that told, like the other day, told me
I had to do the math. Sorry.
I don't know. Does this happen to you when you were like probably in like your early 30s and you see kids in high school and they look like they're in junior high school? Like where you're like, did I look like that when I was in high school? Because those kids look really young. Did that happen to you? Because that happened to me.
A lot healthier than I look. I mean, I look at like my nieces and I'm like, God, I don't know.
Look, maybe I have like the wrong idea here, but like when you just said you were close to 50, I couldn't believe it. And I have a friend whose wife is 49. And I'm like, there's no way you're 49 years old. You guys you really do look amazing.
Oh,
like, what's your secret?
You're kind. Good living. I am outdoors a ton, and I'm working on not taking myself so seriously, which is really, really, really hard. And, a long time ago, I just made some big improvements on my nutrition and eating clean and not drinking so much, although I love to drink.
I like to drink too.
Oh, I love to drink.
I love it.
I
mean, alcohol is so fun. I can't imagine not being able to enjoy it. I
surround myself with great people, and my village is getting smaller. That's the other thing. And maybe this is more of a woman specific thing, but as I've aged and, as I approach 50, I really like that my inner circle is getting smaller.
Can I ask you a question? This is a personal question. You don't have to answer if you want. Will you answer it?
All right. Yeah, totally.
All right. So here's my personal question. Would you say that you're kind to yourself or you're hard on yourself?
Both. I have historically been exceedingly hard on myself. I think I don't know how you have any sort of success or entrepreneurial spirit in this world if you aren't, right? Like, I gotta really self-motivate and stay on myself. But the older I get, the kinder I am to myself. So I will always be hard on myself. It's just
so let's, on a scale of 1 to 10, that like, not today, prior to you less being hard on yourself, what's on average, what do you think in your 20s, 30s, and early 40s, how hard were you on yourself? 10 being as hard as you possibly can be, and 1 being not hard on yourself.
In my 20s, a 10.
What about 30s?
9, 9.5.
Wow. Okay. What about early 40s?
That's where the shift started happening for me. Probably a 7.
And today?
5.
Wow. You want me to give you my number?
Not a great day though. Like I woke up happy. It's beautiful.
No. Yeah, but that's a pretty big shift. And so, if you want to know my numbers?
Yes.
Okay. 20s, 10, sure. 30s, if there was an 11. And I'm early 40s, so I'm 42.
Baby.
I would tell you, I'm 8, 9. I'm still pretty, like, I'm not as bad as I was, because I actually recognize it as a problem now. I'm probably around, I'm still a 9. It's pretty bad. What's your secret? How did you go from a 8 to a 5?
Well, I think so. A lot of that has really been the shift and the change, literally just in the last couple of years. I work with a phenomenal executive coach out of Denver. His name is Doug Slaybaugh. He's been amazing for me, and really helping me to, kind of look at my life outside of J2T. You got to keep in mind, so as a single woman who's not married and doesn't have kids, my entire identity got wrapped up into our firm.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to really start looking at like that if I die and that's what's on my gravestone, then God, shame on me.
Right.
It's a strange thing as a woman when you're not married and you don't have kids to figure out like, who am I outside of work? And that was a big piece of what Asia was about for me. So about 3 months before we put my sabbatical on the calendar. Like we picked it a year in advance. We put it on the calendar. The executive team and the team were like, great, super fine, whatever, like do it. And my sister has taken 2 sabbaticals in the last 20 years, both of 12 weeks. And so she was like, hello, get it done. And about 3 months before I was supposed to depart, my coach, Doug, was like, where are you going? What you doing? Have you bought your plane ticket? And I was like, I was talking myself out of it. I was scared. I didn't want to release the control. I knew that if I had the benefit of 3 months off, truly, they yanked me off the server. Like they were like, you're not getting shit. Get out of here. That got really fearful for me. That got very like all of a sudden that created a lot of anxiety for me. And I remember going to a coaching session and saying to him, like, I don't think this is the year to go. 2020 is going to be really disruptive. I thought it was just going to be the election and a softening of the economy and real estate. I had no idea what we were in store. It's the wrong year. This is the wrong year. And he's like, Julie, go, don't go. But you're not fucking coming to work for 3 months. So if you want to sit around in Bozeman in the cold, in the dark, that's your choice. But that's a missed opportunity. So whatever, it's up to you. And I was like, damn it. And so that week, I was like, get it together, Scates. You've got to get it together. And I decided it was Asia or Africa because I had the benefit of that much time. And Asia felt safer traveling solo because I went by myself. And my dollar did exceedingly well. And the first 2 weeks, because I'm an all-in person. Like I'm like, go big or go home.
Yep.
And the first week I went to an ashram by myself. Well, by myself the whole time. And boy, that was disruptive to my system in a great way. And then I spent a week at a yoga retreat. And those first 2 weeks were kind of my reset, recalibrate before I really start, some big solo travel. But what I found out in those 10 weeks that took me 48 years to figure out was I actually really enjoy my own company. And I actually am happier when I find third gear. I'm so used to operating in fifth gear. I'm either in first gear or I'm in fifth gear.
Yep.
And, and Doug always relates it to like, running a car. Like you should not be running your car in fifth gear or stay in first gear your whole life. Like to me, I'd rather stay in fifth gear my whole life because staying in first gear, like, again, what a wasted opportunity.
Boring
as hell. But finding third gear for me has been such a gift. And I definitely returned to an intense, very, very intense situation that everyone was dealing with. I certainly was not, we're all figuring that out. But it has been challenging for me on my return and my re-entry. I kind of, do this instead of, and I will figure this out, and I will, and I'm committed to figuring that out. But, meditative practice has been huge for me. Taking on exercise that I like versus hate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I need to start picking exercise that I enjoy. Walking, hiking, playing tennis, being kinder on myself, as I age and body image issues and all of that shit that, we get the, fun effect of dealing with as women. But just kind of working like consciously to let it go as much as a person who stays in fifth gear or is usually a 10 or a 9, as much as I can let that go without having it go the opposite direction, which it can for me. If I stay in first gear, which I can kind of enjoy, sometimes a little too much, I can't allow myself to stay there very long, or I'll get like sucked in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Okay. So, by the way, if you ever write a book, you should call it Finding Third Gear. That's such a cool name.
Yeah.
I was like, I never thought about that. You're preaching my life back to me. Fifth gear, fifth gear, fifth gear. Oh, I'm burnt out. Go into neutral. Just coast. Guys,
finding third gear. That's what 2020 has.
I love that, finding third gear. No, I'm serious. That's an amazing idea. So I want to touch on some of the things you just talked about around finding exercise you like, meditation. But before we go there, guys, we have about 15 minutes left in the show. And we got the amazing brain of Julie Scates here talking about finding third gear and, having this amazing work-life balance, going to Asia and really taking her hardness on herself down from a 10 in her 20s and 30s down to a 5 in her late 40s. And so I'm really excited to dig deeper into this. If you guys ask questions, we still have a few more minutes, probably get a question or two in. And hit a like button on the show if you love what you're hearing. And be sure to start watch parties and share this, because every entrepreneur that's in that grind, that fifth gear, needs to be listening to this. These are jewels of knowledge. So I'm really excited to be sharing this with you guys. I want to talk to you about this idea, because I'm kind of in the same boat as you are, that I just found exercise I liked for the first time. And since I love to lift weights, but I don't have my joints. Like I have two torn rotator cuffs, I tear my tendons for fun. So, because I like to lift heavy. So like, I've never been able to do it the way I like to since I was young. So I got into swimming. I swim like I'm so pumped. I get to swim today and I'm like, oh, can't wait to go swim. And I also got into meditation.
Oh my God, have you been following Sam's journey?
Oh, Sam was on the show. We talked. Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. For those of you guys that don't, we're talking about, Julie's talking about Sam Penny. He was on the show like a month ago. Sam swam the English Channel. He did a thing called the ice swim, which is like near Antarctica. This guy is a freaking maniac. So go check out the Sam Penny episode, because he talks all about that stuff. Now he's just making cheese.
Yeah, love that.
And we have so many. Our class at BOG, one guy was governor of Kentucky, Matt Bevin.
Matt.
Yeah, Matt Bevin. He doesn't. I hit him up. He doesn't respond to me anymore. I guess he's. No, hey, listen. I'm a liberal, so I don't blame him.
He's a Republican governor.
Yeah, he's a Republican governor. He likes Trump, and I actually don't care what anyone's politics are. I openly hate Trump, but if you like Trump, that's more power to you. So I want to talk about exercise. Like, how did you? Like, obviously, I think that's a big part of like getting happy is getting to do things you love that contribute to health and wellness. Let's talk about your exercise practice and meditation practice.
Okay, so this is a little more. I didn't realize we were going to go there, but something to know about me is I was a chubby kid, turned a fat girl, turned an obese adult, and was obese until, like, legitimately, I'm not fetching for a compliment, but I think I at the peak of my unhealthiness, I was 227 pounds, and literally had to do a massive overhaul on nutrition and everything else that came with it. And 25, maybe 20 some years ago, I literally took off those 85 pounds and then kept it off.
Wow.
And it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Running my business was easier. And actually getting through the divorce, getting through the loss of my dad was easier than those 3 years of fighting that battle the right way, the healthy way, getting disciplined. Now, I can go off the rails, and I do go off. If any of my friends are watching this, they're going to be like, oh my God, I hang out with her regularly. she can go off the rails pretty hard. And I can, but, really making a lifestyle decision. And then once I hit a healthy weight for my frame, just really making better choices, right? So, you know, and then exercise just had to be something, it just had to be incorporated into my life. And when I moved to Bozeman, because I was in the gym for 3 years, just literally grinding it out, and had a personal trainer that changed my life. But when I moved to, sorry, but when I moved to Bozeman, I live in such an outdoor and paradise. And my friends and everyone in that community, they're there very intentionally because they want to be outdoors and they want to be active and they want to be fit. And man, if they aren't. So I'm actually on the low end of the spectrum of my outdoor enthusiasm. And then just I try to keep it clean. I try to give myself permission to enjoy life, right? I love to eat out. I love to drink. I love to cook. I love people in my home, around my kitchen, you know, pouring drinks, opening bottles of wine, and having it go for hours on end. That is really where I really am the happiest, but everything in moderation. And if I go off the rails, I rein it in. I give myself permission.
Yeah.
I try not to beat myself up, and I reset. You know, today's a new day, and then I just reset.
What how long ago did you I had a massive weight loss, so, and I was like dying of, I actually was dying of obesity.
That's amazing. Good on you. That is a really hard battle to win.
Mine was 12 years. I actually gave up. I totally gave up. I gave up because it was so bad.
What was your secret?
What's that?
What was your secret? What did you do?
I did weight loss surgery.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Good on you.
I literally, when I tell people what I did, like what was amazing was people were like, "Oh my God," you know, that was the easiest way they lost, by the way. They're like, "Oh, finally you got disciplined." I'm like, "Oh yeah, motherfucker. What was I doing?" Since you know what I was, people make tons of assumptions when you're overweight, tons, crazy amounts of assumptions. They're like, "Finally you got healthy." I'm like, "No, dude, I amputated my stomach. Prior to that, I was eating I was killing myself and it wasn't working because I have shitty genetics." And there's a certain point where I lost 155 pounds.
God.
Like when you have that much weight to lose, like, dude, just realize that's like 3,500 calories is a pound. Times that by 155. That's a 45,000 calorie deficit times 10, right? That's like 500,000 calorie deficit. Like, you know, look at, like, yeah, you got to go anorexic, you know. I mean, for you, and I lost major weight before, but it got to the point where if I wasn't dieting, I was gaining weight. If I think of that, if I was not actually on a diet, I'm like eating veggies and broccoli. If I'm not eating just veggies and broccoli and working out, I started actually gaining weight.
Yep.
Like that's how screwed up that's why they say obesity is a disease for the people that don't know that.
You and I should do a podcast just on this topic because this is what I'm actually very passionate about and was really life-changing for me. And I know it was for you too, but
oh yeah,
I was on my first diet when I was in the 5th grade.
No, me too.
And then, you know, it accelerated from there. And then eventually starvation came into play, which of course has the opposite effect of, you know, what your body wants it to do. So you and I should do a podcast just on that topic.
Oh my gosh. I was actually thinking about doing a podcast, on a weight loss podcast. Like
I'm up on that, man, because I think it really is the hardest thing I've ever done, the most disciplined thing I've ever done. And one of the things I'm most proud of, and I can't even believe I just said that on your show today, but it's actually, it was transformative for me in every sense. And no way would I be living the life that I'm living. And I mean, no way, if I was emotionally and physically carrying that weight. There's no way.
I gotta tell you the story. So when I was right before I made the decision to get weight loss surgery, when I hired this guy. His name's Angelo Poli, and he's who's the quarter, and he's Aaron Rodgers' coach. He's Aaron Rodgers' coach for I was like, dude, I probably spent 6 figures, and I counted how many years I was actually like trying to lose weight, like on a diet. I was on a diet for over 11 years of time.
Yeah, I was
like actually being on a diet over 11 years straight. And so when you have the like some people can do it naturally. I was like, I'm not getting surgery. Like that's for quitters, right? Like that's where my head was at.
You're no quitter.
No, yeah, I'm not a quitter. I'm not going to surgery. Only losers do that. Like this is like literally what my brain saying. So my wife had Bell's palsy. And I was working with Angelo. He's my coach. And he's like, Darius, I train. He's like, half his clients are NFL like linemen. And so I weighed like almost 400 pounds. And he's like, hey, man, I'm just going to tell you this. You're my most disciplined client I've ever worked with. And you just have shitty fucking genetics, dude. Like I've never seen someone that's as disciplined as you are who not lose weight. And I said, yeah, this is fucked up, man. And so I said, but my body he's like, look, let's just get you in good, like you'll be just like a really healthy 320 pound dude. And I was like, and I weighed like 360 at this point. I'm like, yeah, but my joints and my organs don't know that I'm a healthy 320 pound dude. Like they don't know the difference. So I just couldn't settle for that. I said, I just think I'm going to die young if that's the answer. Like my organs don't know the difference. My blood doesn't know the difference. So I was like, I didn't like that answer. So I was I've been with him now at 9 months and I stalled out like I always did. Like I lost 40 pounds and then like I stalled out and I'm on a diet, working out 6 days a week, not losing weight. So I end up, basically this is what happens. My wife gets Bell's palsy. I'm in New York. I fly home from New York City, like right away. She woke up and half her face was paralyzed and she's sick because it's a virus that attacks your body, like really sick. And my mother-in-law comes in town. And I call up my coach. I call up Angelo and I go, hey, Angelo, man, dude, my wife's sick, man. I don't have the attention to do this. I mean, I'm going to, like when you hire a weight loss coach like this is what my coach, his coaching programs, you're on the phone with them every day, sending them pictures of everything you do, videotaping yourself working out. If I go on a business trip, they schedule all my meals for me on my trip based on the hotels I'm in and based on my dinner meetings I'm going to. They're telling me what I'm ordering. Like it got to the point where I didn't even have to ask them because I just knew. And it's basically like low carb, high protein, low calorie, no alcohol, no cheat meals.
No fun.
no fun. Zero fun. I get one cheat meal like every 3 months. And I'm working out all the time. And so, and I'm not losing weight doing all that. And so he's like, look, I'm just going to put you on a maintenance diet. So I was like 340 or something like that. Puts me on a maintenance diet. So for those of you that don't know what a maintenance diet is, it means where you like aren't trying to lose and aren't trying to like, you're just maintaining. Dude, I gained 20 pounds back in 5 weeks. I gained 20 pounds back in 5 weeks on a maintenance diet. And that was when I said, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't care anymore. And I went and I did the surgery. It's the easiest weight I ever lost. It'll be 3 years. It'll be 3 years on November 2nd that I've lost the weight and kept it off. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Oh, so the story with that was when amazing, number one. This is what I looked like in college and high school. And so, because I was always an athlete, the problem is when I was an athlete, you have an obesity issue when you work out 3 hours a day and don't have a six pack. Which like there's high school kids that eat fast food and have six packs, and then there's kids that work out 3 hours a day and don't have six packs. Those kids have bad genetics. I was one of those kids. When I got it, they'd made incisions in my stomach, and I had it created like sciatica and some really bad back problems. It's because my psoas muscle seized up. So for 6 months I couldn't work out after the surgery. Like I didn't even walk more than walk on a treadmill. Like barely even that. And finally it healed. I'm not lying to you. I couldn't run a mile when I was like going to Orange Fitness 6 days a week. I couldn't run a mile straight without having to stop halfway through. And I was working out 6 days a week, doing it all the time. When I had my surgery, I didn't work out for 9 months. Once my stomach was healed, I got on the treadmill. I probably at this point lost 70 pounds, 80 pounds.
That's a lot. I
got on the treadmill and ran 2 miles without a break. And I had not exercised in 9 months.
Just not carrying that weight allowed your body.
Just not having that much weight. My body was like, just hit you. I ran 2 miles. I got down to an 8-minute mile within 4 months. Like
that's amazing.
Yeah. And this was because I wasn't carrying 100-pound thing on my body, just mass.
Yep.
So whenever people talk about weight, I go, you should go put on a 100-pound bodysuit and then talk to people about their weight.
That's a huge trigger for, that's something that I am kind of privately passionate about, right? I think this is probably the first time I've ever said it publicly, you know, in to this degree, but it's a piece of the fabric of my life, and I wouldn't be who I am without that. And really proud of myself for tackling it. Really proud of you.
Yeah, no, you know what? I've never told anybody. I tell people privately. I've never talked about it on the show of how I lost weight. So you motivated me. I talk about everything on the show, but I've never said that. So you got me motivated to talk about it. We should talk about doing a show offline. We can
love it.
That'd be really fun. Wow, I have a call in 2 minutes I got to jump on. Okay. Let's wrap up the show. My gosh, where can people find you? This has been so much fun catching up.
This has been amazing. They can find me very, very easily. There's our website, j2t-recruiting.com. Happy to, my email, jskates@j2t-recruiting.com. And I'm also happy to always take phone calls, right? I love talking to people who are passionate about what we're passionate about, want to learn, want to grow, want to travel, you know, whatever it is that they want to do. If I can, you know, encourage, inspire, help, whatever that is, just call me. You've got my cell phone number. You can give it to anybody that, you know, you think I could help.
Yeah, guys, you could hit us up and I'll share Julie's information offline. But you guys we put in the show comments of the website. So check her out if you guys want to connect. She's obviously such a boss and knows so much. And I'm so grateful to have you on the show.
So great.
Much gratitude. So fun. I'm so pumped that we get to hang out in MIT again, assuming that COVID's not here. Guys, I got a show later on today with Justin Breen. That'll be a fun show that we get to do here in about an hour. With that said, guys, please check out Julie and please sign up for the show at The Real Darius M on Facebook. You can also find us on YouTube and at www.therealdarius.com. And buy my book. Buy my book if you haven't bought it. I
loved it, by the way. Really quick closing comment. I actually, in preparation of our time, I actually had a coworker read along with me. And then, we were talking, ahead of this call and, saying like, we really do need to, we do a book club, and so she and I read it together, but I'm actually going to send it on out to the team and mail it out. And we're going to do it in our book club.
Oh, that'd be awesome. And when you guys are done with that, I'd be happy to come talk to them about it.
Oh God, I'll take you up on that. Done.
So yeah. So, any book clubs, anybody who has a book club that if you guys have, how many people are in your book club in your company?
Well, so we toss it out to the staff as a optional tool. Like, it's not a mandatory thing. And almost always they all sign up for it. So we have at least, 15 of our full-time employees that sign up for it.
Cool. So I'll throw it out there. Anyone that buys my book to 10 copies and does a book club, I'm happy to come talk to you and your team on it. And Julie just gave me that idea. So thank you, Julie.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, guys, thank you so much. We'll see you guys in a bit. Julie, you rock. Love you.
Thank you.
Guys, we'll talk to you soon.